Welcome to Wonderful Wine Women, a series where we explore the stories of exceptional women who have not only embraced the challenge of a traditionally male-dominated industry, but have also succeeded in their pursuit. I'm Federica Zanghirella, a sommelier, wine expert and filmmaker, and I'm delighted to share with you the inspiring stories of these wonderful women. Throughout the series, we will discuss challenges and victories, brave choices and resilience. We will engage in conversations with strong women who have found success in an environment where their presence was once considered unconventional. Together we will explore the world of wine through their perspective as successful women in the industry. So pour yourself a glass of your favorite wine and join me in celebrating these wonderful wine women who continue to leave a mark in the exciting world of wine. Cheers! The first wonderful woman interviewed is Florence Tilkens, who I'm particularly proud of as she was my ex-student. Her passion for wine, along with her talent and determination to work in this field, enabled her to accomplish an extraordinary goal.
Hello, Federica. Thank you for having me. So, my name is Florence Tilkens, and after a career in international development, I decided to give my passion for wine a future. So my passion for wine started when I was a little girl, which I shouldn't say, really, because children are not allowed to drink wine. In fact, my Spanish grandfather was a winemaker, and I remember very vividly these fantastic weeks when we were harvesting all together. First of all, I was not going to school because harvest was taking place in September, and therefore I had to miss school. And second, the fantastic atmosphere and enjoyment of everyone once the harvest had been done. Then life went, and of course you choose another path, and I was not really too much interested into wine until the age of 20. I started to have some wine tastings. At that time it was not too popular. When I moved back to the UK, because my professional life was basically between Paris and London, I decided to stop what I was doing previously and embark on a true career in the wine world. And in 2013, I had stopped working in international development. I really wanted to do something new. So my passion for wine was an option. So I spent a couple of years actually, to look for classes. So I visited websites, I tried to talk to people who had followed some classes, and in 2016 I decided to embark with the UK sommelier course. One thing which really attracted me was the pairing, of course, which was questioning really my pairing of wine and food, quite classical at that time. And I must say that I was never ever disappointed by the classes about pairings with the UK sommelier. I remember very vividly and very happily one session where we were wearing a mask and trying to understand what was in our plate and what was in our glass. That was an amazing session. The UK sommelier course did influence me to go on writing a book and searching and investigating about Greece, of course. Why? Because I met a lot of people in this course who had a very, very different background from mine, and some of them had written books about wine. I remember very specifically David Bird, who was one of our teachers, and that was also an option, not maybe just being a sommelier, but also write about vineyards and wine regions which were not as well known as France, Italy or Spain. So the inspiration behind the book was try to understand and explain to the readers why Greece, which was the first sort of well-known wine region in the world, and we are talking about ancient Greece and before ancient Greece, lost this appeal and lost this wonderful winemaking techniques. In fact, it's linked with the history of Greece, which was very, very difficult and decades and centuries of turmoil. So the inspiration behind the book was to precisely show that Greece had brought to our world absolutely all the techniques and everything about winemaking, and also what to do in the vineyard. So it took me 2 years of research. I went to universities, I went to different countries. I worked with the French Sorbonne University, but also went to Thessaloniki to do some research. And I wrote the book quite fast. In 6 months, the book was written after 2 years of research. So the love for Greece and Greek wines comes from also my childhood, I would say. Well, at least for Greece, not for Greek wines, but at least for Greece. The mythology, the history of Greece, ancient Greece in particular, the philosophy, architecture, and their wonderful conception of the world made me be very much interested in this country since, I would say, 8, 9 years old. So when I was grown up, my first real travel abroad on my own was, of course, Greece, to find out what I had been reading and watching for decades. So I started 30 years ago, and of course I didn't know anything about Greek wines, and the only thing I knew about Greek wines were that they were not very good, and that they were very, very high in alcohol, and it was better to avoid them. So I had this type of prejudice towards Greek wines, which I think were the prejudices everybody was having. So little by little, I started to find out small wineries, small producers, and I had a Greek friend who was a gastro blogger at that time. So we decided to sort of find out about Greek wines. And I was also given a fantastic opportunity. I became, in the course of my sort of career in wine, a wine judge. And I was invited by Pierre Guigui, the creator of the oldest wine competition for organic wines, to introduce in 2018 Greek organic wines. So my path towards Greek wines started to get very precise. And since that time, I have been sort of wandering around in Greece and visiting wineries and promoting Greek organic winemakers. I did taste a lot of wines during my 2 years of research, which was the perk of doing so much research. And of course, I tasted a lot of Greek wines, Greek grape varieties, rare ones, some which you will never find anywhere outside Greece. Indeed, when I started the journey in writing my book, I did use a lot my classes and what I remembered from my classes at the UK Sommelier. In particular, there is a chapter at the end of the book where I do some pairings. So my pairings are not classical pairings, Greek wines with French food. So that came from the pairings we used to do at the UK Sommelier, obviously. Well, when I finished to write the book, when I basically concluded, I opened a bottle of Greek wine, obviously, to celebrate. So yes, the promotion is taking me to France, to Greece, to the UK, and there is a second book on the way, and a third one, but I mean the third one is not going to be completed until 2 years. So the challenges of being a woman in the world of wine. I need a sip, sorry, that's a very tough subject. So yes, it's a very complex question. Things have been changing lately, but still it's very complicated and difficult for women to sort of work in the world of wine. I would say that it's also a generational problem. Younger generations are not too, I would say, prejudiced against women working in the wine world. Just an example, 20 years ago, going to a restaurant with a male, the wine list was going to be offered to the male, and the testing of the bottle was going to be also asked to the man. Today, fortunately, when you go to a restaurant, the sommelier or the sommelière, because we've got now a lot of women who are embarking to this wonderful journey. So they are going to ask Who would like to have a look at the wine list, and when the bottle is brought, who would like to taste, which is already, I think, a big step ahead. Nonetheless, working in the wine industry is still very complicated for a female, and I think they have to do much more than their male colleagues to prove that they are worth being in the place where they are. And the main problem is the usual misogyny and the stereotypes. Unfortunately, a lot of humans tend to react and think via stereotypes, and it's of course applied in this world of wine. I would say that in history, again, we had some very strong women. I'm thinking about the widows in Champagne, like La Veuve Clicquot and others, who, despite the troubles for women to get into the world of wine, were really doing an amazing job. And I'm also thinking about women who were forbidden to get into the winery when they had their periods in the 50s in France, which is quite incredible. So no, we are definitely going in the right way, but we still need to do better. Here is my book, L'Odyssée des vins grecs, which is in fact a journey. I'm taking the reader through an historical journey, but also through mythology, of course, talking about Dionysus, the god of wine, and where it comes from, and about his very tormented story. And then we travel in Greece from Thrace to the Ionian Islands, and going via northern Aegean and the Cycladic Islands and the Peloponnese, with the presentation of 50 winemakers, all certified organic, and what I call my coup de cœur, which are the wines I tested with these winemakers and I really liked and appreciated. So there are a few testing notes for the public to understand what we are talking about. And there is also a presentation of the Greek grape varieties. The Greeks have more than 300 grape varieties, so I don't describe all of them. I talk about 40 grape varieties and I describe their organoleptic properties. So the book is in French for the moment, but we are working towards a translation into English and also a translation into Greek, which should be ready probably by the end of 2023. Let me find something which is funny, because I did some research to see how people used to toast in ancient Greece. To toast is a very specific, I would say, gesture. And in ancient Greece, people were not toasting in the same way if they were from Sparta or if they were from Athens. And just by toasting, people could understand where you were from and could criticize you, of course, because they had different ways of drinking wine and mixing it with water. We tend to believe that the Greeks were mixing water to the wine in order to prevent alcohol to be too strong. That was not exactly the reason. The other reason was also to disinfect the water. So in fact, it was a winning situation. Now, talking about mixing water with wine, the proportions were also a subject of debate in ancient Greece. And when we talk about debate in ancient Greece, it means philosophy, it means, all the guests putting their knowledge and trying to make everybody understand that their deduction was the right one and not their neighbor. So the book has a lot of stories like that, which are funny ones, which we don't know, which were in fact written by Athénée de Naucratis, one of the I would say funniest and knowledgeable Greek ancient writers. for those who are interested in purchasing my book, it's you can find it on Amazon, of course, and in any library in France. You can also find it in Canada. It's also sold in Belgium, Switzerland, in Greece, in the International Library of Athens called Lexicopolio, and here in London you can find it in South Kensington, the French Library of South Kensington.
Thank you, Florence.
Thank you very much.